is history, the future mystery. This moment is the gift. Every second.
Welcome, Miracle Makers. We are so glad that you're with us. We're so excited about this show. This is Dr. Sarah Larsen coming to you from Sunset Gower Studios. We are at Universal Broadcasting Network, and we're coming to you live in order to connect with you how to heal. I'm in studio with my scrumptious husband, and we are so glad that you're with us.
Scrumptious as a macaroon, even?
Even as a macaroon. We went to the food and beverage area on the lot, and it's a glorious place. They make gluten-free macaroons, and so we're sending you some of that flavor virtually.
Yes.
As well as scrumptious as a macaroon.
Oh my gosh, my love. This has been such a... just before we came here, we watched this amazing YouTube, or it was on YouTube, but it was a TED Talk.
Yes.
And this guy, he shared such a powerful, powerful story. It's still with me. And, he was severely abused as a child, and it led to this whole journey of gangs and being in prison and just being violent. And in one of his last prison stay, the facilitator of this healing program he was in put a chair in front of him, and he said, this is your mom. And he was didn't want to think of his mom, didn't want to, all this stuff. And it was this profound healing experience because in the end, the facilitator had him sit in his mom's shoes in her chair, and he asked her, what would your mom say? And the only thing he could think of is, I'm sorry. And it was such a profound shift for him. And in that moment, he said the rest of his life journey was a journey of, I'm sorry, all the people he hurt. It was just such a profound shift for him to have that experience. And ultimately, it's a profound experience of forgiveness. And that was such a,
it was so beautiful.
Open his life up for a miracle transformation.
And we're going to bring you him and that story.
Yeah.
So subscribe to our podcast. We want you to like us. We want you to tell us who you want us to bring in studio as well. If you've got a guest that would be powerful, we want you to share that in the comment section. And we're going to bring him on in the future. One of the most incredible things that he shared was he shared the story that created this profound wound in his heart. And he went on to try and protect that wound, wounding. And when he recognized that the way that the wound was created could be forgiven, and he could forgive his mother and all those that inflicted pain into his life as a young child, he then said, the therapist that was facilitating the healing said, did you inflict wounds? Did you hurt like your mother hurt? And when he heard that statement, he began to cry and began to really see how his wounding had created how he was being in the world. And from that moment, he said, yes, I did. I did things that my mother did and worse, and began this process of healing. Began the process of healing his own wounds, became a therapist, became someone that could then help others heal their wounds. Greg and I sit here as miracle makers because we had profound wounds in our life and our generations of wounds. Our children are not carrying those behaviors, carrying that forward into the world, because we could have compassion for those that inflicted the wounds. We could empathize, and we could create a life of our dreams based on wanting everyone else to shift into this state of compassion, into the state of empathy, and into a state of knowing healing for yourself and all your loved ones is possible. And so we love to bring you the best that we find, and we want your help. We want you to tell us who is a miracle maker, who have you seen that we should bring on as well. Today in studio, we've got two of the most beautiful healers. We're switching gears a little bit from the story that was shared to bring you the stories of these incredible healers. We've got in our community here in Los Angeles two energy healers, masters in love, masters in wanting this ability, this freedom of feeling miraculous, of feeling whole, of releasing emotional trauma, and they have found ways that work for them. We've got Armine, who is an amazing Reiki master, an amazing energy healer who's been gifted a table from John of God. And we're going to talk quite a lot about John of God. And her co-founder of My Healing Chamber, Kevin is an incredible energy healer as well, sees angels and communicates with the energy realm so beautifully, and their stories will move you, will touch you, will shift your frequency as well. So welcome. And your name is so beautiful, Armine.
Thank you.
That's so. Is there a story to your name?
Actually, no. I think back in 60s, my name was so popular.
Oh.
So my parents chose that name.
It's a popular name, Armine.
Yes.
I always love to break sounds and words. R for in Sanskrit, in early languages, it really incorporates the wholeness. And Mene, it's a way of being. So it's your name to me, every time I say it, represents our way of being, Armine, which
Thank
is
you.
so...
That's a that's a nice way of putting it.
You have such a powerful story of how you became a healer. You weren't always a healer. And but when you shared the story with me of your dad not being well and
Yes.
how you were the only one in the family that could be with them, could you share with us a little bit of your story of that beginning with your father?
Yes. The whole journey started back in 1999 when I lost my father. When I lost my father, I also lost the trust of Western medicine because the things that he went through during his battle with his physical challenges that he was going through, I witnessed to a lot of unfairness, a lot of wrongdoings in the medical establishment. I have all the respect to all medical doctors because I truly believe that they are missionaries as well, and they have a purpose and they have a mission here. But unfortunately, today's medical establishment has rules that they have to follow. And the things that I witnessed during his illness at the time when he was in a hospital, it really caused me a lot of pain. For a couple of years, I was living with a lot of guilt, with a lot of regrets, because at the time I was in my 30s. I didn't know how to express myself fully. I didn't know how to ask questions, how to challenge things. So after his death, after when I lost my father, for a couple of years, I was going through a lot of emotional distress, and those emotions caused me, and I had to go through my own challenges when I grew a cancerous lump on my throat. And later on in years, when I started practicing what I practice, I noticed that it hit me on my throat because I wasn't talking my truth. I wasn't being my truth.
So, during your father's illness, you began to recognize that you could have said something, but you didn't.
Yes.
After he passed, you had all of this emotions, and those emotions resulted in a connection to, you made the connection that you had throat cancer,
Yes.
and that throat or thyroid cancer.
Yes.
And that thyroid cancer connected right there with your throat. You had to make a decision, go down the path that your
Yes.
doctors at the time were telling you, or to go down a different path. You found a healer that did alternative healings.
Yes.
And even though your medical doctors were saying, you got to be in the hospital today, we need to be in chemo radiation today, we need to be doing this right now.
Yes.
You chose to go a different route. And in that different route, whatever had been created prior was gone within a few sessions.
Correct. I knew that there was another way for me. And I'm glad that I chose that route. And without any medication or any harsh medical treatments, I got healed in 7-8 sessions of energy healing. I got so fascinated by my experience that at the time, again, I didn't understand. But when I aligned my energy field, when I sustained my energy field, the right circumstances, right people, masters, teachers, all of a sudden they all started appearing in my life. And I've learned so much from it. And again, I was so fascinated by that experience that I always praying for all these teachers and masters and healers that they came my way, was asking God, please keep them safe in case if me or my loved ones, God forbid, they need their help one day. Little did I know that I was being prepared for something bigger than that.
And that bigger was becoming the healer yourself. You became the healer. You learned those techniques. And now you do these healings as well. And when you started, how did you connect with and create My Healing Chamber?
Well, My Healing Chamber, we at Healing Chamber, we're a small group of individuals, like-minded individuals who came together, and we created this beautiful unity, this beautiful space. We have great ideas, great visions, and we're doing everything to bring all that into this tangible reality. And our trips to John of God is one of the ways that we are helping people in our community to go through this big shift, because change is happening. Change is a natural process of life.
Change is happening constantly.
Constantly, exactly.
The one thing that you can count on is change is coming in. And if you're not actively creating the change that you wish to be in the world, change is happening to you. You're at the mercy of it if you're not actively, intentionally creating and being the change. And so that's what you did, Miracle Makers. She took a horrific situation, made a big leap in faith. She had seen one way that was not working, and she got to stand on the wisdom and experience of those that came before her. She took a different route, and she fell in love with that experience so much that she became that change, not just praying about it so that all of her loved ones could have that experience. And so this question comes up for me: what is the change that you're wishing in the world? Gandhi's words, be the change you wish to see in the world. What change are you wishing for? And how can you take one baby step. Maybe that baby step is praying. Maybe that baby step is finding someone who embodies that change already. Maybe that baby step is talking with and actively connecting with those that are profound change makers. And so anything come up for you as we're...
What I'm, tuning into right now is that if you're not embracing the change, you're creating blocks within yourself, which could lead to those diseases that take us early or that,
Yes.
diminish our quality of life. So important to learn to adapt or to embrace or to manage change so you don't get stuck inside and create those conditions that need healing as a result of that.
Every day, your spirit is calling you out to step on the edge of something. That old saying, do something that you're afraid of every day. I think that was Eleanor Roosevelt that might have said that. Do one thing that you're afraid of doing every single day. And when we become living on the cutting edge of ourselves, it's incredible what starts to happen when we're on the edge. And it's incredible. Kevin, you're sitting right next to Armine, and I'm so excited for you to share a lot of your story and how you started being on the edge, started doing the things that you were afraid of, and started creating. You were very sick at one point.
Yes, that was many, many years ago. We find out I have a liver issue, which is turning yellow, and then my kidneys were getting swollen. At the same time, I had a very high diabetes diagnosed by, and they were going to put me on chemical shots, whatever you guys want to call that.
Insulin.
So then I said, you know what? No, that's not for me. Since I always believed in energy and all the spiritual healing stuff. So I take a journey to John of God. So just by visiting once, I'm free of all that already, literally over 2 years now. And I'm very happy. And now my mission is with Armine, with my healing chamber, with our healing chamber, to take as many people we can and heal them. It could be emotional healing, it could be physical, it could be anything. But definitely, if it worked on me, it's going to work on everyone else. So that's our mission.
It's quite incredible. When you've experienced the healing, when you've experienced the shift, what was it? So John of God is a beautiful individual. He himself is quite often described as a simple man, a farmer.
Yes.
Can you tell us about John of God?
John of God, as they call him there, when he doesn't incorporate any of the beautiful spirits, because there are over 30 plus identified spirits that they incorporate through him, and they help him to, they use his physical body. That's why they call him a full trance medium. When he doesn't incorporate any of those beautiful spirits, he's just a man.
Yes.
He's just a man, like any one of us.
So when a spirit comes in, there is a beautiful spiritual center in Brasilia, Albajani in Brazil, and this beautiful center where this man years ago was told, he heard the voices say, you're going to be a healer now. And slowly different masters, healers, doctors started going into his body, housing his body, and he began to do healings. What are some of the healings that I know you each witnessed healings, you were each received healings.
Yes.
What are some of the healings that you've seen and your own stories around what you received?
Well, first time when I got there, I didn't know, to tell you the truth. I knew there was a call for me, that I had to be there, that I had to go and see John of God. But what kind of a healing did I need? I didn't know. So the first day when I got there, I started going through this strong and profound emotional cleansing with no apparent reason. And that same night, the great spirits of a light, one of them that later on I identified who that spirit is, that I feel very much connected with his energy, came in and said, you asked what kind of a healing you need. You need emotional healing. And that was just something that I discovered about myself. I didn't know. I always thought that I'm very sensitive. Now, I have a lot of compassion, which is true, but to have that kind of emotions at that place, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something else. So the great spirit, they came in my hotel room, said, you didn't know what kind of a healing you need? You need emotional healing. So tomorrow morning when you go in front of the entity, you ask for emotional healing, and which I did. And I also asked for a spiritual surgery, and I'm so grateful that I made a decision voluntarily to go through that process.
Yes.
And after that, there were like big shift has happened with me. I had this great sense of urgency to get out there and help others. You see, it's very easy when you do good deeds to your loved ones, your family, friends, people that you know. But it's a noble thing when you do unconditional love and light work to total strangers. And I was directed what to do after my 24 hours I completed my 24 hours after my spiritual surgery. I was directed what to do because I really wanted to give something back to the entities, to John of God. And I went online and I put the status on John of God's fan page on Facebook. And I said, I'm down here. If anybody needs healing or prayers, please private message me. I'm here to do the work. Wow. Within half an hour, more than 80 people all over the world from various places of the world, they contacted me. And I wrote down everybody's messages. And I took to the casa, stood up at the prayer triangle, and I asked, I said, please, dear entities, I took this great responsibility to help others with their prayers. Please let me just help them and let me just be in service to others. And that's what I did for the rest of my trip. And again, the following week, I went back to the current room, which is their meditation rooms. And I stayed there for 5.5 hours, keeping the current going for the helping the entities and John of God to heal hundreds of people that were standing at the line.
It's such a beautiful gift. What a gift to give.
You know, it's again, this is like a miraculous experience, and being miracle makers ourselves. You know, the what is so apparent in your story is just this willingness to be open and to trust. Because a lot of this, if you're depending on your mindset, you'd be like, "What is going on here? This is scary, or this is so." It's not, practical, or it's not common sense. But you really have to just be open to what we've been talking about lately. There's common sense, and then there's miracle sense.
Miraculous sense.
So how do you begin tuning yourself to the miraculous, to the miracle sense, miraculous sense, so you can receive like you received, which is very beautiful.
You got into the frequency of deep listening for the miracle sense to fully be activated and awakened. And it's so beautiful. And I know, Kevin, you've got an amazing story from there as well. They perform surgeries with knives and with no pain. They scratch eyes down there. Some of the things that you witnessed, you yourself had one of those miraculous surgeries.
Yeah, I had the surgery myself. It's called the spiritual surgery. It was just very It's like I can't find the words to describe it. It was like a dream, like miracle. Like you would just wear whole white, and then you go to front of John of God and ask for the spiritual surgery. And then another one of the thing is you need to have a guide when you're down there. They need to bring you back to your casa. I mean, Pasa, which is hotel, right? Passat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they called. It's a hospital, basically.
Yeah.
So they're going to bring back to your hospital, and then you need to lay down. So the spirits, they start working on you. And then you see everything as your eyes is open, and physically you see them, they performing on you. So they did something between like my second chakra, like in that area. I don't know what they did. I kind of jumped from my bed and I kind of knocked out. And I don't remember anything. And then next morning I woke up, I'm feeling all good and stuff. And basically when we came back, I went to a doctor. I took a x-ray to see what happened, and they saw the stitches inside of me.
Wow.
There was invisible stitches.
Yeah.
And then gradually they just gone, and I got rid of all my sicknesses and all that stuff. And another thing I really want to share with you on that note, one of the things I really benefited besides healing myself, I was sleeping one night, I had this dream that the John of God son comes to my room, because I never know the guy. He comes to me and he says, my father has a message for you. And then I'm like, okay, I have a message for him too. So I woke up early in the morning, about 4 a.m. in the morning, sitting outside a hotel, and I'm like, Kevin, are you getting crazy or what? You don't know the guy. What message? What are you talking about? And then something came to me, you know what? Surrender your ego and trust the process. Okay? So I left it at that. So we went back to casa about 7 o'clock in the morning to have a crystal bath session. And the lady said, no, you just had a spiritual surgery. You can't have a bed time. Just go and have fun or just rest. So we went to the store. This French guy comes to me and say, you're Kevin? I'm like, yes. Meet, this is John of God's son. I'm like, huh? What? I was like, I can't explain, like a baby, like I was like crying, shaking. I'm like, wait, who is he? He's John of God's son. He's like, he's got the message from his dad. I'm like, what message? He wants you to order a crystal bed. I'm like, is this for real? I'm like, I'm telling
That's
Armine.
not why I'm here.
Yeah, I'm telling Armine and my other friend with us, I'm like, can you hit me or something? Am I asleep or this is real? So the long story short, I learned that's most valuable thing in anything in your life. Just surrender your ego and trust the process. So now I'm a second person who owns the crystal light bed. And the purpose is, again, to help heal people as much as we can. That's our mission, and that's everybody's mission.
It's an incredible story.
That is incredible. Yeah.
You were prepared in your dream, even.
Yeah,
And then
I mean,
as it starts happening, everything being on purpose.
Yes, everything has happened for a purpose.
As
He
soon
had
as-
to get down there.
As soon as you accept that you need to go in front of him or to Brazil in that specific village, everything gonna be opening up for you.
Yes.
And you will be amazed and surprised that the things unfolding, it's like, it's not even real. But
Yes.
guess what? It is. It is.
It is
So,
real. It's
It's
amazing.
peace and love.
That miraculous common sense, miraculous sense.
Surrendering the ego.
Yeah.
Which is,
surrendering the ego.
Because that's the challenge. You listen to stories like this, and your ego's like,
I'm gonna get
can't
you.
be. How does that work? There's no A to
Yes.
B sequence in that, or whatever the ego depends on
Yes.
to plan to keep itself safe. You have to surrender the ego and trust the process.
surrender
That
the
is
ego.
the miracle maker's
And that's the
motto
miracle,
right there.
Yes, don't
Yeah.
delay your miracle
yeah.
by surrendering breath by breath your ego.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, can you give us one way that you learned to really surrender your ego?
Boy, just what immediately comes to mind is meditation, because
Yeah.
meditation removes you from egoic control and opens you up to the process. Yeah.
Of letting that in.
Yeah,
For
and
me,
then the other one, of course, is hearing stories like this where it's just like the ego can't make sense of it anyways, but there's an
Yes.
inner knowing that
Yes.
miracles happen.
an
And
inner
it was happened to someone who's sitting right here.
Yes.
And as he's sharing it, it's coming from the heart. And so how can I not trust from my heart what he's just shared from his heart?
And also on that note, the way it happened, I invest on a crystal bed half price. That people are paying
Yeah,
tons
yeah.
of money,
Yeah.
and it came to me effortless.
Yeah, effortless, yeah.
And I'm like, I never in my life would think I'm gonna get one of these. I mean, she already had one; it was perfectly
Yes.
enough. And I went there for my own health.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, next thing I
Yes,
know, we're
often.
coming back with the crystal bed, and again, more than half a cost, whatever it worth.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing.
You were
meant.
really serve things on a silver platter.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
What's really, really incredible is you lead tours down there, and people that have a calling in their heart to go down there, you make it very, very easy, comfortable. They're served on the silver platter,
Yes.
or I would call it in a state of grace with you. For the miraculous to happen, we just have to get into a space of receiving grace. And I define grace as getting something that you haven't earned. So grace really truly being a space, like a undeserved, unworked for, not worked for. You get into this state of grace by being with you guys, knowing that you're handling all the details, or the guides that are meant for you are handling all the details, so you can be in this space of receiving the miraculous senses, receiving the dreams, receiving the healing. And if you pass out, if you're in this space of not knowing what to do, you're with those that have committed their life to bringing in the miraculous healing for you, because they've experienced it for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's because of the profound experiences that we had down there.
Yes.
I was directed to go in front of the entity, John of God. Because you see, when you break through to something like that, when you have profound experience like that, that shift that you feel, that divine love that you feel, you automatically, you just want to get out there and share this with others.
Yeah.
So I said, what is the right way? What is the, how is it that this can be possible for me? So I went in front of the John of God, the entity, and I asked if I can have a permission to become a guide. And I said, because my community doesn't know about this beautiful place, beautiful space. And when I got the permission from the entity, that was the most intense and profound, emotional moment for me, that entity actually saw me, somebody who's capable of such a work.
It's so beautiful because it saw you, all of you, the healed you, the whole you. And how amazing to sit in and be in the presence of that can see all of you, the wholeness, the love, the unconditional, and recognize, yes, you are the guide for your community.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I feel
Cheers.
that way.
What I feel like sharing is that, I was doing my research and preparing for this interview, is that they were saying sometimes, people wait till the last moment and then they make their trip to John of God. But what they were saying was, don't wait for that moment. Like you say, don't delay your miracle. If you're feeling like you're in a space where healing would improve your life, would come at a time before you reach that point later down the road. Because I know that, because you can feel stuck and you kind of have an intuitive knowing that I need healing or that I need emotional release. And if I don't, it's going to turn into a disease or it's going to turn into a crisis. So miracle makers, don't delay your miracle. If you're feeling called to explore this, to check this out, please tune into that and reach out. And if your intuition is guiding you for that emotional healing, for that spiritual healing, which if you receive now will, down the road you won't have the physical healing that won't be needed. So this is like really powerful stuff. And if you're being called to do that, please reach out. Please connect yourself with.
And so looking at myhealingchamber.com is one of the places, the next step to take to look at what's available. Your next trip is September 11th.
Correct.
And this trip starts, basically people are meeting September 10th, 11th. But the moment you make the commitment, your life, miracles happen. Miracles are ahead of you. One that has signed up, Jenny signed up. And can you share Jenny's story? Once she made the commitment, Jenny is almost in her 30s, young, beautiful girl that did not have work for the past few months.
Correct.
Since last year around September. And her story is incredible. Incredible woman, heartfelt. It does amazing work in the healing world as well with hospitals. And she couldn't find work that was at the caliber of what she was trained for. And although she was doing work, she wasn't being paid for it during that time frame. And after she didn't have the money, she didn't know where she was going to get it. She had this internal heart knowing that she had to go with Armine and Kevin with My Healing Chamber to Brazil and meet John of God. Oprah Winfrey has gone down. Oprah Winfrey has met John of God. Jenny said, okay, somehow the miracle will happen. I will make the commitment. She opens up her checkbook and laughingly she says, how much should I make it out for?
Yes.
Can you take the story from there?
Yes. The minute that she committed herself to take this beautiful spiritual journey with us, in about a matter of 2 weeks, not even, she found, again, she was literally served on a silver platter. She found this, somebody offered her, she didn't even look for it, somebody offered her this beautiful job that she's here to do. She's
one of the consultants that she had hired in the past came to her and said, hey, I've got this great job for you. Could you help us? And it was beyond what she could have imagined. She said laughingly, let me make out the check. And within a couple days, I think within 2 or 3 days, it wasn't even a week. It wasn't even 8 days since she said that. And she's now working. I think she told me it was 48 hours, right around that, from the time she wrote the check out to the time that she got offered this position. Since she's been in this position, she's been offered 2 more, 8 days. 8 days.
That's that's the beauty of this. You make a commitment, and the entities of light, they start working on you in whatever area you need healing. And healing finance, having a financial crisis, it also needs healing. Because healing can take place in so many different ways. When we say healing, it's not just physical or emotional or relationship. This can hold a lot of titles under one word, healing.
Healing has so many meanings. And in Chinese medicine and shaman medicine, when you receive a healing, you become a better person.
Yes.
The healing is not just on the physical level, it's who you're being as well. And so if there is an area in your personality, an area in your personal life, in your finances, in your spiritual mission that you haven't fully addressed yet, that emotional healing, the physical healing, the spiritual healing could be it that offers that complete wholeness. You become a better person.
Even as we started the show off with this healing of the wound that happens in childhood, receiving healing around that can
Yes.
open you up to a completely different life.
The essence of who you are is beneath what you perceive is missing. Let me say that again. Who you truly are is below the woundings and the experiences that you've had in life. And it takes a leap of faith. Going to Brazil, going to John of God is a leap of faith. But those that know they're called to it know it in what's below the wounding and the essence of themselves. You're called. You hit the reset button there.
Exactly.
What is your life and what is your health like now? What is your life and health like now?
Better than ever before. I feel better, have more energy. I look better than before.
Yes, years younger. Pictures are incredible. Testimonial for that. No cancers, no
Nothing.
glorious hair. For those that are watching us, I mean, she's sparkling, skin glowing, hair, energy coming out, amazing heart energy. And I would say, Kevin, when you went down there, what did you look like before? And then what's your life like now?
Everything is peaceful and lovely, and it's healed. I mean, there's a lot of things healed that I can't even find the words for it. One thing I know, my life, every day, every second, I'm falling in love with my community, with my wife, with my kids. It's amazing.
Yes.
This is one of those things that as soon as you're down there for a couple of weeks, and as soon as you come back, you are gonna write it down. Even there's so many things gonna shift. Like, it's unbelievable.
Beautiful.
It's unbelievable.
It's beautiful. And Oprah Winfrey went down there. A lot of world leaders have gone down there. And some people worry about like Zika virus, or it's a third world country. They worry about that sort of stuff. But your experience is once you make the commitment, you're in this silver platter. You're in this grace state. Everything from the airport to getting there is in this bubble of protectedness.
Yes. As if you have this protective shield around you. I have heard people, they approach me with a similar question, saying that you're periodically going to Brazil. Aren't you afraid of Zika virus? And I just smile and I say, you're watching too much TV.
Truly, when we go and we travel, we love bringing people to these beautiful experiences, and those questions come up when you're in a state of grace, when you're in unconditional love, when you're traveling with miraculous beings. The miracles come in one right after the other, from passports coming in right on time to everything that you need financially, clothing wise, friendship, relationships, organizing themselves. Kevin, your company, the AAA1 Communication Inc. is the premier provider of security. One of the many things that you guys do is solution to your commercial and residential communication needs. And usually you can't leave your company for 14 days. And what happened with your company when you left?
Well, normally when I would go somewhere, even for 2 days, I had to have my laptop, my phones, and everything with me, because it's not only we do security cameras, we also monitor the properties. And in this world, average, give or take, 10, 20 incident per week. That's, for me, it's kind of a lot.
Yes.
So that's why I had to carry with me all those gadgets. So when I was down in Brazil, Abidjani, John of God, nothing happened. No single incident in 2 weeks. Not even a single one. Nothing.
Nothing
And then I came
happened.
back. I started, going back and forth in the records. I'm like, maybe something was wrong with my email. Maybe something wrong with my phone. Let me check the hard drives. Let me make sure this, make sure that. It's just amazing.
A miraculous
everything
sense.
is, yeah.
And so when people work with your company, AAA1 Communications Inc., they not only get you, but they get this energy of a healer
Yes.
and the energy of John of God coming into their buildings, into their communication, into this miraculous sense. And so it's I love sharing this, that everything is energy. And
Yes.
when you get the energy right, synchronicities happen in your life.
Right.
The miraculous comes in. What would you love to add, sweetheart?
There's a deeper flow of grace and love, and even that would be a miraculous. No calls for 2 weeks
Yeah.
while you're
Yeah.
there, because
Yeah.
energy works at that level. So just being open to that and working with people who are in that space is a better way to approach life.
Well, and it's one more thing real quick. Since last year of September, since my last visit of Brazil, until today, I service over 25 commercial buildings, like major networks. Since that today, now, I never had a tech calls. All the systems we have installed, head ends, everything, it is perfectly fine. We don't have to go down there and do anything. And sometimes, like, am I out of job or what? We have our service contract. So.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
AAA1
amazing.
Communications Inc. That's what we protect ourselves with. The solution to your commercial and residential communication needs. It's such a gorgeous thing. And then this John of God trip. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
For the Brazil John of God trip, they can email us info@myhealingchamber.com.
And the website is spectacular. It's got
Yeah.
pictures. It's got you. It's got the healing sessions, and you made it practically at cost. It's an incredible $3,600
For
with
the whole trip.
the airfare from the Los Angeles area to Brazil. That is unheard of. This is your gift to those that come with you, to give it at basically cost of what can be. I'm so honored. I am so honored that you guys are in studio, that you brought John of God to the airways and that frequency.
You brought the miracle of healing for someone out there. If you're hearing this message and you're feeling that call within, please reach out. It's not by mistake. It's not, anything else. But God reaching out to you to take this step in your life, to make that shift in your life, using these miracle energies.
And Miracle Makers, we love having your comments and your feedback come in. We do this show for you, and we give thanks for you guys liking us, sharing this podcast, sharing the YouTube, subscribing, all of those. We're so, so grateful. And that's for each person out there. Just know that My Healing Chamber, that the Miracle Makers and UBN Studios is here for you.
Thank you, Miracle Makers.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
The past is history, the future